Oh, hey guys. I'm working on my audition for the choir later today. I'm very nervous, but I'm also very excited. And all I have to do is sing a simple song, and that determines whether I get in or not. You want to hear what I've been working on? All right, here it is. Let me get my note real quick. Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow. You know, that's not good enough for the choir, and I recognize that. I've got to figure out what I'm doing wrong. I'm not doing something right. And I believe it's my breathing. When we sing, we got to make sure we're allowing our diaphragm to work. So today in the music room, we're going to talk about singing with the diaphragm. Yes, the diaphragm. It's a very important part when singing. This is a little bit of a long definition, so hold on. The diaphragm is a muscular wall that separates the lungs from the stomach area and assists with breathing. So like Brock said, the diaphragm is a muscular wall that separates your lungs from your stomach area. The way the diaphragm works is when you breathe in, the diaphragm expands or gets bigger and it pulls air into your lungs. And then when you breathe out, the diaphragm contracts or gets smaller and it pushes air out of your lungs. Now, we have such a thing as a good breath, which is using your diaphragm, and a bad breath, which is not using your diaphragm. When we take a bad breath, we breathe in and we pull our shoulders up and everything here gets smaller and we don't bring in as much air as we could. So I want you to stand up where you are. We're going to try this together. What we're going to do is we're going to take in as big a bad breath as we can, and we're going to bring our shoulders up and everything, you'll feel it down here get smaller. So let's try it. Here we go. Now push it out. That didn't feel good or sound good. However, let's try good breath. What I want you to do is I want you to put your hands right here on your stomach area. You're going to feel this get bigger. Keep your shoulders down. You ready? Now push it out. I don't know about you, but I was able to bring in a lot more air and push out even more when I used my diaphragm. Because when I bring my shoulders up, the diaphragm doesn't have any room to move because this area is getting smaller. However, when I keep my shoulders down and my stomach expands, the diaphragm has more room to move. So we need to make sure that we're taking good breaths when we're singing and not bad breaths. Now you may be thinking, Mr. Warren, how do you really know that a good breath brings in more air than a bad breath? Well, Professor Witz has a great way to show us this. Guten Tag, everybody. Professor Witz here, and we're talking about the singing and the diaphragm. And what I want to show you is that when we take a good breath, we produce more air than when we take a bad breath. So I have two balloons right here. And what I'm going to show you is the air I produce when I take a good breath and the air I produce when I take a bad breath. So I have the balloon here, and I'm going to take a bad breath. Now remember, a bad breath is when our shoulders raise up, our stomach area gets smaller, and our diaphragm does not have enough room to expand and get bigger to bring in even more air. And I'm going to blow the air into the balloon, and we're going to see how much air I produce. Are you ready? So that is the air I produce when I take a bad breath. Now, I'm going to take a good breath, which means I keep my shoulders down and I allow my stomach area to expand, which gives my diaphragm more room to expand and get bigger, pulling in more air. And then I'm able to release more air. So, I'm going to take a good breath and we'll see what the balloon looks like. So, when we look at the balloons, I have taken in more air on a good breath than whenever I took the bad breath. So remember, when we're breathing to talk or to sing, we want to take a good breath because we have more air at our disposal. Oh, this is great. While they were working on their singing, I found some helium. I'm going to put it in the music room while they're singing, and they're going to sound so funny. Oh, boy, I can't wait to see how that audition goes for Mr. Warren now. Ooh.
Alright, so all day today we've been talking about singing with the diaphragm. And you want to... Wait. What's wrong with my voice? I don't normally sound like this. You sound funny! Well, you sound funny too. Both of you sound funny. I don't know what could possibly be going on right now. But it sounds like somebody has put helium in the music room. The question is, who would put helium in the music room? If my calculations are correct, I believe Tricky has something to do with this. You're right, Brock. I'll handle this. I'm done with you and all your nonsense. For the last time, get out.
All right. Hopefully we've got all the helium out of here. Anyway, today we've been talking about singing with the diaphragm. So are you ready to hear what I've got ready for my audition? Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow. Hey, not bad. I think I'm going to make that choir. So we've talked a lot about singing with the diaphragm today. Let's review everything we learned. Now remember, the diaphragm is a muscular wall that separates the lungs from the stomach area and assists with breathing. And remember, a good breath produces more air than a bad breath. Whenever we took a bad breath, we blew the air into the blue balloon. And when we took a good breath, we blew the air into the orange balloon. And the orange balloon was bigger than the blue balloon. Now remember, in singing, there are good breaths and bad breaths. At the beginning of the day, I was using a bad breath. My shoulders would come up, my stomach area got smaller, and the diaphragm didn't have enough room to pull in air and push out air. However, I learned about the diaphragm, and I was able to do a good breath. I was able to keep my shoulders down, let my stomach area expand, bring in a lot of air, and I was able to push out a lot of air when I was singing. So, my singing started off really bad this morning, but it got better throughout the day because I was learning how to use my diaphragm. So remember, when we're singing, we always need to use that good breath. Hopefully I get into my choir. and hopefully you've had a great day in the music room. We'll see you next time.